Welcome, folks, to Gordium. We're doing a lean canvas today. So this is the second step in our evaluation process. So before we get into a lab, which is where we really start to work on idea, we run it through a lean canvas to see if it really has promise, and we rate it here. So today, the problem we're lean canvassing is reminders are rigid. So um, Neil, do you have background for this? I think this was originally your concept.
Um, no, not really. I
Okay.
think this is one that has been bouncing around both of our minds for a long time. So I think hard to find the source.
Yeah, I mean, I keep running into it. I'm running into it now where like I'd like to call my grandma occasionally, right? And I have this reminder in every 2 weeks on Sunday. Well, it just so happens that like every Sunday at 6 p.m. I can't call my grandma. And then so I end up delaying it. And the reminder really doesn't serve the purpose because it's so rigidly attached to a schedule that just doesn't fit my life. So then I end up kind of not doing the things I'm
Yeah.
reminding myself to do.
And then it also
Yeah.
feels kind of impersonal, right?
Yeah.
Where like where it just becomes scheduled and it's like, oh, it's Thursday. I need to text, Jimmy.
Yep.
And it that's just not how life works for a
Yeah.
lot of things.
Like the reminders that work, for example, like I used to have a fish, okay, and I needed to feed the fish at around 8 a.m. and around 5 p.m. Like that reminder works like clockwork. I needed to do that every day at around the same time. But like for other things, like I have a reminder to schedule a call between Neil and I and a mentor. And it comes up every couple of weeks. And I'm always in the middle of something, like I'm hiking or something. And I'm like, I can't sit down and schedule this right now. So then I just delay, and it never gets done.
Yeah.
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 It's this
No.
like fiction of like squishing things down into a schedule that just aren't schedulable.
Yeah. Yeah. And then often the delay features are not organic either, right? It's
Yeah.
remind me in an hour or, remind me
Or
next week or
or
next
the
month.
day. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it'd be nice if, it was like remind me in about a week.
Or remind me soon. Remind me later. Yeah.
Yeah. But, and to reiterate, rigid reminders are good.
Mm-hmm.
For
Yes.
9 months I needed to take medication for tuberculosis,
Yeah.
and that was I think I only missed like 2 days in that whole 9 months because I had a reminder system, which worked great.
Yeah.
But that's not most things.
No, it's not most things. It's not, there's a small set of things that work that way. Um, yeah.
So I guess for existing alternatives, um, you've just got reminders, which are rigid. That's the problem. Um, you can do not a reminder system, but a just like put it in the notes app and then it's the next time you see it.
Mm-hmm. Um, the bullet journal. The bullet journal has this concept of like you can put something in the next month. You can say, oh, like when I migrate next month, I'll see this.
Mm-hmm. But again, that's rigid.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Um, I mean, I used to have there's a such thing as a tickler file. It's rigid too. That's from getting things done, which like I would use it where I'd have an Obsidian daily note for like next week and it would say, think about this. But I mean, that's the same rigidity.
Yeah, if you
Um,
build it into a rigid system that works, right?
these
Like
are all
every
rigid.
yeah,
Yeah. I think like telling a friend, like remind me, like live my fiance, I'm kind of her informal reminder system. So she'll say, hey, can you remind me of this? And just kind of happens randomly,
yeah, yeah.
sometime in the next day. Um, Yeah. So our solution would be, let's see.
Basically, you have an app that you set a reminder and it just puts noise in it, right? So it, instead of, saying next week at, you know, next Sunday at 3 p.m., remind me, you just sort of say every week or every 2 weeks for the case of, Jimmy calling his grandma. And then you know, it might be, 13 days or it might be 16 days. It, sends that, it intentionally adds a bit of noise.
Yeah. Like a noisy reminder app.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not the best way to describe it, but that's how I did it. Do we rate now or do we do
No.
unique value proposition?
UVP.
The unique value proposition is to like rehumanize certain reminders,
Yeah.
like, and the high level concept is like, oh, making reminders human again. That's not good. Yeah, what's something that takes something that was very rigid and makes it
Well, what is the what is it? Jelly search engine, right? Where it takes something mechanical and then turns it human.
yeah, like jelly for reminders. Is that thing still alive? I'm pretty sure it died, but
Yeah, probably. That's not a perfect um, analogy.
no, but I think it makes sense. Like Google is this inhuman, precise, rigid thing.
I feel like Taleb had something. He Taleb has
Hmm.
the perfect thing somewhere in one of his books,
Okay.
but I'm blanking on it.
Do you want to, are you comfortable giving a rating?
Yeah,
All right. I've got mine.
yeah, I give it a 1.
Yeah, I think it's clear but not strong.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a.
I don't even know if that's how
I
I'd
think that
characterize. Yeah.
the problem is weak. The solution is strong.
Yeah, it's clear, which I like. It's very niche,
Yep.
you know. Okay, unfair advantage. I think our unfair advantage is like people other like we're targeting a niche that just I don't think makes sense for Apple to target for like Apple reminders. Like
Yeah.
because you can't build an app that does rigid reminder. Well, you have to pick a privative, right? You have to pick, is it rigid? Is it loose? Because just imagine like using the Apple Reminders app and you'd have a million options. Like if you wanted to delay it, you'd have to say uh, a random amount later,
Yeah.
specifically tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to do both.
Yeah. And you run into, difficulties when you're, hey, remind me to take my, heart attack medication tomorrow. Oh, whoops. It's about tomorrow and you just missed 3 days.
So I think the bigger niche is more valuable and it's hard to do both. I
Mhm.
think that's our unfair advantage is that this doesn't make sense for a big company to go after. I mean, they have their cash cow. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna murder your cash cow trying to do this, and it is probably not that profitable. And yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I think it's one of those where like once you have something in the space, you can lock it down. I don't know. Probably
Mhm.
not. I feel like this is very much like an indie hacker kind of problem.
Mhm.
All right, customer segments.
Neil and Jimmy.
I think so. I think so. Let's put us into early adopters. I would use this app with great frequency.
Oh, all the time.
I think people with many people who keep up with lots of people. Like, I feel like that's largely why I run into this problem is I'm like trying to keep up with.
It'd be great for digital minimalists, right? It sort of could be used to fill that hole that, Facebook left, right? On occasionally hearing from people.
Yep. And then I think so that's like there's a communication take on it. And I think there's like another take on just like I think I could think about it in terms of reflection. Like I want to reflect on this decision in a random amount of time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we did
Um,
that. Remember in 2021, I made, I just manually did it and used, random.org and created calendar reminders.
oh,
We
I didn't
didn't use
realize
those
you'd done that. Oh, you're right. I forgot about that. We didn't use those.
because we
Uh,
sort of changed, we
what we
pivoted a
were,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah,
So they weren't really, you know,
relevant.
yeah.
Hmm. I think like reflectionists, is that a thing?
It'd be interesting, like organizers who don't like, bullet journal and
Oh,
getting things done.
yeah, like um structure phobic. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I feel like that's always the trade-off people make. They're like, I don't do schedules or something. And
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, but I almost never forget anything and I get everything done. Like, but then it's like, well, you live a very rigid and structured life. And I wish there, that this makes sense
Mhm.
because there's a trade-off there. There's space there to be organic and spontaneous, but also remembering things and getting, catching most of what you need to get done.
Yep.
Um, I think my friend Brian would like this. I might pitch this to him. I'll know who that is, but um,
Everyone watching, anyone named Brian is
any, Brian, if you're here, please let me know. I think bullet journalers would be an interesting group. No, 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 no. They already have a system. Uh, people who might use Bujo but don't, right? Because they're probably going to be somewhat digitally minimalists. They're going to
Mhm.
want some kind of system, but maybe they don't want a big heavyweight system. Channels,
Yes, you said
products.
indie hacker product hunt.
Yeah, you're right. I think this is more of an indie hacker one. Mm, I think an Instagram.
Now we just need to figure out how to make it, really pretty like the bullet journals, and then we can sell big monies.
Cash it out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, all right. Let's see. I am good to rate this one. I have my rating. Do you have yours?
Yeah.
All right, what do
I
you got
give it
for
a
me?
1.
I agree.
Probably a little biased there, but I'm okay with that.
Did we break this out in a different way? How does this rating system work now? I totally forget.
Um, yeah, I think we messed up somewhere.
I think we did.
Oh, unfair advantage is one, and then customer segments and channels is another.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. Okay. All right. Thank you. I still think that's a one.
Yeah,
Customer segments.
I give it a
I
one.
I give it a one. Good catch. Thanks, Dale. I was wondering because I think our threshold is 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Cost structure. I think this is a classic like SaaS cost structure, right? So we're gonna, I mean, yeah, I think we can make this work to where the MVP doesn't sync. All it does is it lives on your phone. Then our costs are literally just the developer portal thing for Apple.
Mhm.
And then I think what we can start to do is if you want it to sync across devices, you add premium, like,
Yep.
right.
I like
And
that.
that's but our cost structure is like scaling with our infrastructure basically. And then our infrastructure just is, based on like a, I think freemium model, pay for syncing, right? Like
Mhm.
we start with an iPhone app probably, and then we expand then we can give you a Mac app, and
Mhm.
then you'll want to sync from there. And so, yeah. Okay. I think that's a one
Yeah,
for me. I shouldn't have just come out and said it. That's my bad. I'm really rusty.
that's okay.
I think that makes this then a 4, which is a passing grade, right?
Yeah.
Which I agree. I think this is worth a lab.
Yeah.
No, I guess
I think this one, uh, were it not a lab, would become a hobby. And we develop it anyway, probably.
yeah, I think so. I think you're right. This is like interesting enough and honestly useful enough just on its own that like and simple enough that I think it really could make sense. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Thanks for joining us, folks. That is all we have. You'll see this one in a future edition.